Today I'm with Melody Rachel. She's an artist from New Zealand who now lives in Sydney, where she hosts the I podcast. Her podcast is all about exploring themes of gender, religion, and challenging ideological orthodoxy in the arts. She'll be performing her one-woman show called Demo at the Sydney Fringe Festival at the end of the month. I'm very excited about seeing it. Melody, what is Demo all about?
Demo it's a solo show, and it's about feeling alienated and polarized in these different communities that I exist in. So I'm a lesbian, so I'm part of that, LGBT, QIAX,
Elemental P.
I don't even know the alphabet. That community or category, I like to say. And being a Christian, growing up in a sort of Christian, conservative, more religious environment. And then also being in the arts and feeling like I don't fit in to any of those boxes because I'm so alternative and I'm challenging and questioning, going against the grain.
What's it like not feeling like you fit into either of any of those spheres?
I think we all want a sense of belonging, right? Like it's in our human nature. We want to belong to something, and I felt Christianity and the church, for many people, that is a place where we go to belong. It's a community. But, yeah, if you're gay, you kind of just get told you're wrong or that you're a sinner or that people, we love you, hate the sin. But since being gay is kind of attached to our identity, it's merged. So we're not seeing it as you love me and you just don't like the sin. We're seeing it as, oh, you don't love me, because it's interconnected. Yeah.
Do you think those two things can be separated? Do you think it's possible that someone really does feel like that? Like they do fully love you and accept you, they just take issue with your sexuality? Or are those two things completely
Well, as I grew up and matured, or as I grew up, I kind of realized this because I came out as gay when I was 15. Was just completely discombobulated with this idea that, Jesus doesn't love me if, I'm gay. So I went to the LGBT community, right? You get acceptance.
Like a different church.
Yeah, right? No, but and I did for a while. You sort of you find acceptance that the whole thing. This was I'm 30 now. This was 15 years ago. It's this is who you are.
Yeah. Your
sexuality is who you are, right? You should be proud of who you are. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is my identity now. So finding, complete acceptance in that community. I think what I've learned recently is, since it was so attached to my identity, I think it was my fault that I wasn't feeling accepted. So now as a 30-year-old, going sort of, because I had a break from Christianity, right? And I was like, fuck you, I'm not going to be a Christian if you don't accept me. But when I was 25...
Boycott.
Yeah. Went back to the church, and I was just like, had a personal encounter with Jesus, right? And I was like, Jesus does love me. It's the people in the church building with an issue, and why I wasn't able to receive their love is because the LGBT community told me that being gay is fundamental to who I am, which I just don't think it is.
Interesting.
I think it's a part of who I am, and I don't think I need to be it's nice that we want to exist in society and we want to sort of just be left alone, right? But I don't think we need everyone to accept every facet of who we are. And I actually find that the Christians that don't accept me for being gay treat me better than the LGBT community that accepts me for being gay but doesn't accept that I have different opinions to them, that I have a different view about gender, different politics to them, all these different facets. It's like, oh, okay, so actually the Christian community accepts me more.
That's quite incredible. Because we think of these groups on the left as being so progressive and so tolerant. They're all about tolerance, love and acceptance. But I've experienced it too to some extent, and you've experienced it a lot, but yeah, they're not tolerant. They're quite intolerant. So how did you get into the art world, and have you experienced any of these, like this intolerance there, or?
It's just, I grew up wanting to be an actor, right? And I did like on-screen stuff. And then I was like, oh, this isn't for me. I don't want to be on TV. And then I did ensemble theatre work. And I was like, oh, not that I don't like working with people, but I think I like my own schedule. So when I was 25, I started making solo work. So I make one-woman theatre shows. Demo is my 5th show.
Wow.
And it's usually responding to my experiences. So the first show I made was, it was about that theme, not being accepted as a gay person, but as a Christian. Now I'm sort of moving on to the theme of, oh, okay, I'm in the arts community, but if I think this way, then I'm not going to be tolerated or accepted. I think it was like 2020, like just before COVID, everything just got really polarized. And I think it was, the Black Lives Matter and the cancellation of J.K. Rowling. I think this is when these two big issues came about. And it's like, if you don't start looking at people in terms of their group, like if you don't see yourself as an oppressor, or on the flip side, if you don't see yourself as oppressed, because there's a few different, right? Like I'm white, but I'm a woman, lesbian, I'm gender nonconforming. Like you have to see yourselves in terms of these group identities. Then we're not gonna take you in, and we're not gonna take your ideas seriously.
So, have you had personal experiences with this that you can go into? Anything more specific, maybe? Like,
yeah, I had an experience when I was making a theatre show about gender. Hot topic.
The hottest, perhaps.
Well, it was called I Want to Be Mark Wahlberg, right? And growing up, I wanted to be a lot of these male figures. I wanted to be Batman. I wanted to be Eminem. I wanted to be Justin Bieber, like all these dudes, right? And it was about my association with the masculine gender. And my experience growing up, I have a little sister who's like really girly, and Mum used to take us to like the shops and, oh, Melody, you like, you look so pretty in these dresses. And I'm like, nah, I just want to play with like dinosaurs and shit. But I had someone when I was young tell me, because I was like playing in the mud, I was playing with dinosaurs, like I'm a tomboy, quote unquote tomboy. That word doesn't really exist anymore, but typical masculine qualities, right? It's weird that I have to explain that. But I was told by someone that, oh, we can just chop off your tits and turn you into a boy. Just because I'm this 5-year-old wanting to do like dude things. Right? So I decided...
Who said that?
I don't know if I want to say. Like,
okay.
It was someone in my...
An adult or another young person?
No, an adult. And I think they probably meant it in jest, but I just... Yeah, looking back, I'm like, okay, that probably wasn't okay.
And it's creepy that that's now the reality. Like...
Well, yeah. I mean, how much do we want to say here? But just all these experiences as well, like being called a beast and like a man at school, and just never feeling, again, man, this is really just is about wanting to fit in, but just never feeling comfortable being a woman because I'm not feminine, right? And then wanting to make a theatre show about that. And wanting to put these ideas in the show, right? To say, hey, actually, this is what got me in trouble. Fucking Germaine Greer, love her to death. But I quoted her in an article that got written about me. But before that, I was listening to her on YouTube, and she said something amazing. She was like, femininity is the fake version of femaleness. And I was just like blown away. I was like, it was that moment where I was like, oh my God. I know, I think I knew this intellectually, but it just really sunk into my soul. Was like, I don't have to be, just because I'm not feminine doesn't mean I'm less of a woman than these feminine women around me.
And just because a man can present as very feminine in the way he dresses or the way he changes his body, it doesn't make him more of a woman, does it?
I don't know, does it?
Who said that?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, so it's this separation of gender and sex.
Yes,
I suppose,
but to get to your question, there's a long lead up there. But I mentioned Germaine Greer in an article, and I was like, this is the premise of the show. I can be masculine and still be a woman. And I got a lot of I got a lot of press for it because it is the hot topic, right? But I just had the wrong view.
So what happened?
So I got pretty much pulled into like a meeting with the artistic director of the theatre company, to say, hey, you've done this. I just want to let you know that we're creating a safe space for the transgender community here, and you've mentioned this woman. This is not even what I said. It's that I've mentioned someone, so it's like guilt by association. You've mentioned this woman. She's not. We don't like. I can't remember exactly what she says, but she is bad.
Yeah.
She's
we don't like what she stands for.
We don't like what she stands for. And I'm like, yeah, but what she said resonated with me, and I'm like, I'm trying to make a show about it.
For context, around this time, I think Jermaine had, because she's quite elderly now, Jermaine, and she stays out of the limelight, but a video had been circling of her saying that trans women are not women, and that caused quite an uproar, and that was probably around a similar time.
Well, I was reprimanded by the artistic director. I got a review. I mean, look, like I'm not being like I got a bad review because your skin's thick. But what the reviewer said was really interesting because I put a part in the show that suggested that what the person said to me about chopping my tits off and turning me into a boy, I suggested it was a bad thing, and the reviewer was like, she reacted badly about gender confirmation surgery. And I was like, how is like telling a 5-year-old that we should turn them into a boy because they're playing with dinosaurs gender confirmation surgery?
Yeah.
And this whole thing blew my mind. I was reprimanded by my directors. I was pretty much told, you said this either because you didn't know how it would affect trans people or because you didn't care. And I'm like, dude, it's my story. Like I'm not attacking the trans community, and was just told, oh, well, we don't want to work with you unless we politically align.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bit like, oh, woe is me. But it's just like these experiences in the arts world can be quite difficult for people that do want to question these ideas because it's like, well, let's just have a conversation about it, but it's completely shut down.
It limits your freedom of artistic expression, right? When you know that you're going to get reprimanded for something, it sort of, stops how far you can go creatively.
But this issue, it's so weird because it's literally you're just questioning an idea or an ideology, you heterodox people say, right? You're not, it was so confusing to me, and then it just blew my mind, and then it kind of just snowballed.
What are some other things that you sort of have to deal with on a regular basis as an artist who wants to put their art out there? Are there other sort of like procedural loophole, like steps that you need to
like
go
saying
through?
Our pronouns?
Yeah.
I mean, that seems to be everywhere, right?
Yeah. Is that a requirement to get your show into these?
No, it's not. Look, it's just, what is the word? It's orthodoxy, right?
Yeah.
This is what we do now. But it's just like, since when? It's sort of, it is imposed. I mean, you go to sign up for we fill out forms to, just to be part of like artist residencies and stuff. Yeah. But like the pronoun question, it's asterisked now. Like you can't just ignore it. Really? Or like I'll go to a woman's workshop and then we'll sit down and go through our pronouns. And I'm like, okay, cool. You're being woke by like just having this woman's workshop. So you're excluding other people, which is whatever. But then now we're doing our pronouns, and it's just like, but obviously this is a woman's workshop. Yeah. Like, what the fuck?
I've heard you mentioned before land acknowledgements. So what's up with that?
I mean, I'm just trying to think what should I say here?
Well, what's the requirement? Like, are there requirements for doing a land acknowledgement?
Again, I mean, the Sydney Fringe have requested that everyone do a land acknowledgement before their performance, right? It's a pre-recorded land acknowledgement. And it actually doesn't go as far as most of them go. Most of them, like the land acknowledgement usually stops at, I don't even know it because
Yeah, there are different layers. There's one that sort of says this is unceded land.
Yeah. You're living on stolen land, always was, always will be.
Yeah.
It's not that intense, which is fine. So maybe I should just shut the fuck up and play it. But my issue is it's lip service. I mean, Jesus talks about this in the Bible, right? They worship me with their lips, but their hearts aren't in it. And I kind of feel the same. I mean, sorry, am I just saying I don't care about Aboriginal issues? I mean, I don't know enough, and I don't know what. Like, I want to care, but how is acknowledging the land before my theatre show? Like, what is that doing?
I think that's a fair question. Yeah.
So it's like questioning these ideas, and you see people in the arts as well. They walk in with all this merchandise, like these caps saying like living on stolen land, and I'm like, what? Like, if anything, this is counterproductive because it makes people think, oh, this is all we need to do. Just wear some merchandise to say always was, always will be. Just do the fucking
Problem
acknowledgement.
solved.
Yeah, and it's just like, no. Like, I'm sorry, I'm a quote unquote white person questioning this, but for real, because these people aren't, like I said, the hearts aren't in it. What are they doing?
No, it's a good question.
What do you think? Let me ask you a question.
What do I think? Like, I'm on the same page as you. I wonder, by doing a land acknowledgement or these other like sort of bureaucratic things that you have to do that you're just expected or required to do, like, is that actually improving the lives of Indigenous people in Australia? In my understanding, what really improves people's lives and what brings them out of poverty and extends lifespan and all these things, health span, are policy changes, like economic changes, changes to housing, changes to, medicine, things like this. Not putting a
that's too hard.
1 minute pre-recorded speech in front of, at the start of a performance. I just really don't. Or wearing a cap that says,
stolen land. Oh, man. So I can't just, that policy stuff, too hard basket, Zoe. Maybe I will just do the land acknowledgement. There we go.
It's easier.
Why do you think, because I'm confused about this. People, and this can't just be the arts, but this emphasis on these group identity categories. There's those specific things, right? Like land acknowledgements, pronouns, having a different view about gender, but it's really started to warp people's view of people.
Individuals.
Yes, most arts grants that you get now are all the quote unquote marginalized identity groups. It's kind of like straight white men need not apply, but it doesn't take into consideration like the individuality of the person or where they sit on the socioeconomic structure. And it's just, I have an issue with that because, like they use the word queer. I hate the word queer.
Why?
Political. It's a left-wing political identity. I'm not hyper left-wing. So it's like, I understand the original intention, like our identities were political, right? But now, since we have our rights, once you start using them as political, it pushes people away. So you need a political identity to sort of get on par with everyone. But now we and I will say this, like gay people we face a different type of discrimination, right? But politicizing our identities is not going to help that. We actually need to depoliticize our identities and elevate our common humanity. I think that's what's going to get us more acceptance. But people don't realize this, and it's just like, it's insane.
And do you imagine a world in which you're accepted by everyone all the time? Is that something that you want? I mean, we sort of touched on this before.
Yeah, I've talked about acceptance. No. I think self-acceptance sort of frees you from the burden of trying to get acceptance from everyone, right?
Wow.
Ooh.
Deep.
Some wisdom.
It's so true, though. Like, if you're okay with yourself, why do you need anyone else to, especially strangers on the internet, to, accept who you are, or let alone celebrate your identity?
Exactly. And it's like, I still have, family members and people in the church that, don't accept me being lesbian, but it's actually like the most liberating thing is, no, I accept myself. So it's actually okay. You don't need to accept me. You don't need to accept. It's how you treat me. That's what matters.
Yeah. So when did you come to that self-acceptance, and what journey did you take to get there?
To be honest, this sounds whack because it's kind of it's reversed, but it's Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
say more. Because I don't have a religious bone in my body. Maybe I do.
Well, me neither. I mean, the thing that people don't get about Jesus is when he came to earth, he actually lambasted the religious people. He was like, well, you're tithing.
Who were the religious people of the time?
Okay, so the religious people were the Pharisees.
Oh, yes.
So I'm not a theologian, but what they did is they took the Bible and they changed it to suit themselves. So this is what I was talking about before about lip service. So they would worship in the street really loud for show. And Jesus was just like, no, like you're worshipping me in the streets, but your heart's not in it. He pretty much called them all hypocrites, which is kind of what's happening now with religion. You know, I grew up in an environment when it was like, say your prayers, you know, are you reading your Bible? Close your eyes when we're praying, but then they'll treat you like garbage, right? It's the same thing. Use my pronouns. Or I was at a protest, but they treat you like garbage. But back to your question. Jesus. Yeah, what you do is you surpass the church and people, and a spiritual relationship with Jesus is inviting him into your life. When I say Jesus, I mean you have a God's Holy Spirit dwelling within you. That's what it is, convicting you of...
I thought it was just something I ate before.
I'm doing this, the camera can see it. But this is what it is to have a relationship with Jesus. It's bringing the Holy Spirit and having it within you. And you know, the jargon Christians will use is, the secular society would say it's good and evil within you. Christians will say it's the spirit and the flesh. But essentially, I think once you've got that, once you've got Jesus and you can feel his love in your heart and you can feel him changing you from the inside out, it doesn't really matter what other Christians think. So in my view, that is the self-acceptance. That is the core of being a Christian. I mean, I had this moment early in my Christian journey when I'd slept with a girl, right? And I was like, but I'm Christian, but I slept with a girl, I was praying to God and I was like, but I still know you. What the heck? Like, we're still in a relationship, and it just, it goes to show that you can actually be gay and be Christian. I mean, whether or not it's a sin, that's debatable, but you can absolutely have a relationship with Jesus and be a Christian, and the Christians hate me for that.
But you also say that you've come across a group of gay Christians, right? Tell me more about that group, because you're going to America.
I'm going to Nashville. Gay. I mean, God bless them, but some of them are not. I mean, there's all these different views. Some of them say, "Oh, God affirms my sexuality," which I disagree with. And then there's another view of, "Oh, I can be same-sex attracted, but just not act on it." Which I also disagree with, because I love sex with women.
I think a lot of our listeners agree.
Them ladies. No. But I think I'm just trying to explore, like, why is it such a big contentious issue in the church? Theologians say this is mentioned like 3 or 4 times, or maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. Greed is mentioned a lot. Pride, self-righteousness. And we can see this in the Christian community, but it's like but you're gay. And it's like, yeah, but you're this, and this. And then we start just pointing the finger at each other, and and then we can draw that parallel to the arts, right? Oh, well, you're this, and it's just like we start finger pointing.
So what's this thing in Nashville?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So Nashville, they've got there's a gay Christian conference called the Reformation Project. They don't believe that the Bible condemns homosexuality. So their argument is homosexuality entered the Bible in 1946. Before that, it had a different meaning. I'm sure there was a different word. But what the Bible was condemning was violence, like violent sex against women, pedophilia. All these words they're arguing were replaced for political reasons, to go against.
By whom?
I don't know. Like the conservative or Republican politicians in the US. So they say, don't quote me on that. This is just, they essentially, put it in the Bible. It was a mistranslation. That's the idea. But yeah, my journey is not, it's not about going into the Bible and looking at the words. It's about the spiritual experience. Like, you have to look at the Bible, and we have to read the Bible to understand, what is our experience? Does it line up with the Bible? But it's not something you read and think, oh, I can't do that because this is what the Bible says.
Okay. And tell our listeners a little bit more about your connection with, is it?
Fair.
Sorry.
Fair in the arts.
I always get fire and fair confused. Yeah.
Yeah, so Fair in the Arts, they exist as their own, as part of Fair. So Fair in the Arts is a faction of Fair. They don't directly exist in opposition to, this woke cancel culture stuff, but they're trying to elevate their own liberal values, which is like freedom of expression, diversity and opinion that we talked about before, that are lacking in the arts, or that they feel like we've lost. So all these thinkers and artists have come together from all over, like different countries, and connected with each other, and we all have this one value in common, which is the ability to just speak and think freely. So I've connected with a few of these guys in New York, and interviewed a few people on my podcast about sort of their experience in the arts and what they do. I'm actually going back to New York before I go to Nashville to watch one of the guys' shows. His name's Jamie Beeman. But yeah, just to elevate what's missing in the arts. And someone should start an Australian chapter.
Maybe it's you.
Right? Maybe. But yeah, I attend their monthly meetings. They have these monthly meetings on Zoom that just connect artists together. So we know we're not alone. We're connected through this one value, which is just to elevate our common humanity.
And where's the best place to connect with Fair in the Arts? Twitter?
Just jump on their website and sign up for their newsletter.
Cool. Okay, and what about connecting with you? Where can people go to?
All right, my handle, Instagram and Twitter, it's Melody Rachel K. And then my YouTube name is just @MelodyRachel. And you can come to my Sydney Fringe show, if you like, called
I'll
Demo.
Be there. See you there.
Opening on the 19th of September, but I'm sure you'll plug all the information.
Yeah, I'll put the dates in the description. And your podcast.
Oh, yeah. You Know I. But I'm trying to direct people to my YouTube.
Okay.
Yes.
Go to her YouTube.
Go to the YouTube, Melody Rachel, where we explore sort of more heterodox.
And you'll be at our Melbourne social.
I will be.
On the 29th of September. Unfortunately, we've sold out of tickets. So hopefully everyone listening has got their ticket because there are none left. Cool. Can't wait to see your show and see you at our social.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Bye.